Hello and welcome back to Saturday Night Later, the show where sketch teachers and writers break down SNL sketches so we can learn about the structure that goes into writing sketch comedy. I'm your host, Marina, the writer of the upcoming book, Unusual Things, a guide to sketch comedy for writers, fans, and everyone else. And I'm joined by my amazing co-host and author of the Substack, My Comedy Fantasy, Madalyn Baldanzi.
Hello!
Hello, Madalyn. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm as excited as Hannah Waddingham is.
Oh my gosh, impossible! Impossible. She was so excited. I like when a host is excited. That's great. I had somewhat more mixed feelings about the episode, but she was very clearly excited and clearly having a really good time, which is really nice. But there's a lot to say about this episode, a lot of really teachable things going on here. So I am so excited to discuss them, go through one by one. If you're tuning in live, feel free to chime in with questions or comments as we go. Madalyn and I love talking through all of these things, and we're always curious to hear your thoughts. So please don't be shy about chiming in. Before we jump into the specific sketches, Madalyn, do you want to do a little temperature check on what were your thoughts?
I actually really liked this episode.
Okay.
I think that Hannah Waddingham is such an interesting level of host. She is sort of a natural host for a live variety show. She spent most of her career performing live theater and then, had a breakout role in the Game of Thrones and Ted Lasso. So she's someone who almost you could almost imagine her being famous enough to host in the US, but maybe not quite famous enough. Because why would you have her on when you would have Sudeikis on to promote Ted Lasso? But then it's just she should have the opportunity to host, because having someone who is incredibly good at performing live and incredibly good at singing is really exciting. And a lot of fun singing sketches happened, and I enjoyed it.
So many singing sketches. I will say that her entrance down the stairs, got me all worked up. I was like, wow, this is great. I'm so pumped.
What a moment.
Wow. I will say that personally, I felt a little less positively on the sketches as a whole, but I'm, again, so excited to talk through them. There was so much energy in all of the sketches. I will say, even the ones that didn't really connect for me, I thought that the energy was so strong throughout. And I think there's a lot to be learned about, ways that when you have a host and a group that's really high energy, learning how to harness that energy into the best possible sketches is, I think, a really great grounds for conversation. So I'm very excited to talk through this on a sketch by sketch basis and see what we feel. Should we, without further ado, should we just jump into the cold open?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Cold open. So this is the kind of apocalyptic future where Nigel Farage has been the prime minister for 2026 now. Okay, 20 years. So it's funny. Even as I'm trying to talk about this sketch, I'm running into a little trouble, because really I think the bulk of the sketch is sort of supposed to be Keir Starmer having to grapple with this is what the future will be if you do not step down now. I think the sketch I think that, again, with cold opens, we always run into this where they're sort of the least imperative to make it a sketch of any sketch of the night. This one felt a little plotty to me in a way that I think a cold open can get away with. I think that I probably would have tried to structure this a little bit more in a traditional sketch format, where the focus would be more of that sort of almost like a Ghost of Christmas Future kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
But
if you're gonna get Peter Serafinowicz, then you're gonna start with him. And
yes. My main note for this one, if they were gonna do this sketch structure where they're sort of it's almost like a two-part structure in a way. My note for this would have been just clean up the top a little bit more. I actually think that if the base reality we're playing with here is an apocalyptic future where he's been the prime minister for 20 years, I think you just want to clean it up a lot. I actually think that beer beat, even though it was fun to watch him chug a whole beer that, and very impressive to watch, I actually think that was kind of an off game beat that actually took a ton of time and kind of messed up the clean setting of like all of the horrible things that have happened. The population of London is now in the single digits. Outside the window, it's all like, it's like hell. It's like a hellscape. This is going on in the newspaper. Everything aside from that beer chug was all really on game. And I think that if they had not gotten rid of that, it would have been a very clean setup. And then you could have brought in the Keir Starmer and played that a little bit more than they did. That was sort of my takeaway. What did you think, Madalyn?
Yeah, it was definitely plotty. It almost reminded me quite a lot of last week's cold open on the airplane, with like, oh, here's another person finding a plotty way to enter, whereas in the US cold opens, they're just like, another impression. Both are bad.
Yeah.
And I hope that like finding a plotty way for another politician to come in isn't like SNL UK's new version of this. But yeah, I think if you had started with Starmer and like been like, here's like the ripple effects it's gonna have, like Nigel Farage, no.
Right.
It just would have been easier to build joke instead of getting caught up in plot.
Right.
And I think another way that like it's clearly plotty is that Winston Churchill final beat is like, whatever. Who cares if it's Winston? Seeing Winston Churchill isn't funny in and of itself.
Right.
So, if you're getting to that point, it's like too much plot.
Right. And I think that also part of what's challenging here is that like the ultimate, like I think that the part of the kind of vision of the sketch is Keir Starmer missing on things that are missing the obvious signals of what he needs to do, right? Like, so I think that if you shortened up that base reality of like this awful future, and then you could find more ways to experience these beats of like him just missing the mark. Like, oh, I see, I have to appreciate every day. No, let's see another thing that's like going on in the future, right? Like, I think that you could have there could have been a little bit more dynamic going on in that scene.
You could have even done it without Keir Starmer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's true. You would have, there would have been, yes, I think that you could have called attention to, like, even if you had just said, like, so glad Keir Starmer never stepped down so that I got to keep doing this, right? Like,
that would have been fine.
And then it would have, you're absolutely right. And then you would have just had kind of, like basically what the beginning of the sketch was, just a piece in the pod thing where probably everyone would periodically be like, so grateful to Keir Starmer for just letting us, like bulldoze them in the following election. Like I think that there's absolutely, you absolutely could have done that. That's a great point. Interesting. I think this is an interesting one because again, as a cold open, it's sort of doing its own little thing. I do think that if you were to try to like make this a little bit more of a clean sketch, I think you would have had probably more fun with it and gotten more beats out of it. But they did, like, it was still like a fun kind of kickoff. They did it, I think it wasn't like maybe the most efficiently used real estate, but it seems like a fun thing. It was topical. It was clean, or it was clear. But again, I would just say that it could have probably gotten a little bit more fun out of its own premise. Okay, should we talk about the monologue?
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Anything that jumps out to you on this one?
It wasn't a super gamey one. It was almost like, look at all the ugly characters I've played, which is honestly surprising. And like doing English voices. Right? There was no real through line per se.
I don't think so. Yeah. I think that's right. I think that the parts I'd love to play was like a fun idea. I think I would have been curious to see more of those. But anyway, I thought it was, again, like I think that
they could have connected those better pretty easily.
Absolutely.
But I think it was short enough.
It was short enough, and I think she just like truly coming in with so much energy just like really makes a difference. I will also say, I think something that's interesting to think about is there's so many ways to be charismatic on stage, and hers is a very like big, like buoyant kind of brilliant like presence. And I think it's just interesting to think through your favorite hosts and how some of them have that energy and some of them are a little more reserved but still have presence. So it kind of makes me think in the sketch team in general, you have actors who are strong in any number of ways, some of whom like can kind of do anything. Some of whom have like one very specific thing that they can do. I think her energy was very explosive and fun. Yeah, I think that's why there were a lot of character-based sketches and musical sketches in this particular show. Should we move on to the first sketch?
Oh, let me at Sunburned Lawyers. Let me at 'em.
This is one that was this just one, were you feeling this too, where you're like, ooh, my sketch teacher brain is just firing. I want to reach the screen and talk to the people who are working on this, because I it's so close. It's so close. But anyway, yeah, what were your takes on this one?
I love the idea of Sunburned Lawyers.
Yes.
This is a great idea because it's so silly, so fun, so specific.
So specific.
Like, and I think sometimes with these this is like an idea I feel like you would have seen on Mod Night a lot back when we were doing Mod a lot. And I kind of just want to point out why this is such a fun idea. And it, like, lawyers are very serious and sunburns are very silly. There's no real obvious connection between the two of them, but the idea of like your lawyer being incredibly sunburned is just like it's creative because it's not something I've ever thought of or heard of before, but when you put them together it's silly, right? So like this is a great, fun, specific, random idea. They proceeded in this version of this idea to kind of do a genre parody sketch where they didn't make any use out of the idea that they're sunburned lawyers. There was only one beat that actually used lawyer show and sunburn, which was like, and somehow they always solve the case using the sunburn. That was funny. But if you're going to put this idea if it's a pre-taped video where it's a genre thing, you have to use the beats of the genre to get at the idea of like why it's funny that they're sunburned, and instead they only talked about being sunburned.
Yes.
Like there wasn't even like, you're lawyers, why are you always going to the beach? Because we can afford it. Like there wasn't
absolutely
wasn't even any why jokes. It was just sunburn jokes, and you have to have it be from both sides.
Yes, and it was because it was also, it was even more specific than just sunburn joke. It was just the physical sunburn jokes. It was like, ow, this hurts, this hurts, this hurts, right? I think that there's so much more, as you said, like specifics exploring that could have been done. And I agree. I had the same thought as well, that like we're losing not just the genre of like this type of intense drama, but also all of the things that a trailer opens up to you, right? Because it's a structure of a trailer, right, for the thing. So like I'm thinking about like, what is the clip of like this person's, like husband being like, I can't take it. Like the way you're focusing on the case, you need to spend time with your family. Like, what is that version of that for the sunburnt lawyer? She's like, well, I don't have time because I've been on the beach for ages or whatever. Like a wise man once said, put on SPF 30 if you're going to fall asleep in the sun. Like all of those things. Like what are the ways that we can like borrow the footholds? I'm talking about them as footholds now, like
tropes,
things that like are anchored in the genre of drama and the structure of trailer that you can then use to have this funny mishmash between the sunburn and the genre that you're playing with. Yeah. What else was coming to mind for you about this one? I think this was the main thing for me.
I think I'm thinking a little bit too of the desk bit on American SNL of the sunburned guy from this year.
Oh, right.
And that also failed.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting, because I do think there is something about like sunburned lawyers, which is why I wanted to talk about why I liked the idea, where it's like, well, you could have sunburned anything. Right? You could have sunburned police officer, you could have sunburned firefighter, sunburned teacher. It's like, I think you have to kind of discover what it is exactly about sunburned lawyers that's specifically funny to you. And it didn't.
Yeah, because it's like, there's something about the way a sunburn is sort of like a goofy, to be clear, I'm not victim blaming. When people get sunburns, that's terrible and no fun. But like, it like also comes about when you get a sunburn, it's like sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's like you were having fun and got a little irresponsible, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, there's something fun about that pairing with the like intensity of a drama, right? Like, that I think is kind of
Yeah.
where the fun lives.
Like,
And
can
so,
the person on the bench, can the witness like point a finger at the attorney and be like, "Well, I don't trust her.
yeah,
She's
yeah.
fully red."
She's right, yeah. Or like again, like the kind of marital strife thing. Like, I keep telling you to put SPF on, and you just keep telling me you're going to, then you fall asleep, you take a nap in the sun, and I know it's gonna happen. I don't want to watch you hurt yourself like that, like that kind of stuff, right? Like there's
Or
just
like an Atticus Finch moment where
yeah.
he's like like let him do it let them do it straight, and then have the judge be like, "I'm so sorry, I can't hear you. I just see the."
I just see the sunburn. Yeah, yeah, right? Um, yeah, I think there's so many fun ways that we could, again, use the genre, use the trailer structure to jump from beat to beat. So again, this one, such a fun, silly idea, that just never got around kind of talking about the idea. Like, I think, again, you wanna think about how do you kind of move forward through your idea, without having to describe it over and over. And I think that playing the drama where the drama is the sunburn, I think would have gone a very, very long way. So again, really, this was one where I was like, ooh, this is going to be really fun to talk about, because there's just so much that you can learn from this one, and from thinking about how, if you're watching this or listening to this now, thinking about, okay, what specifics would you pull, like from the from the world of, again, lawyer drama trailer. Like, this is oh, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
My God, I would love it if the prosecutor came in very tan and they were
Yeah.
like,
Right. Yeah. How did he do that? He's too good.
"Oh, he's a slimy bastard."
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, come
Yeah.
on, guys, use the
Use
whole
it.
animal.
Yes, it's really, really, really good. I think that the thing that I would say, if I were teaching a sketch class, especially if this were a class that were like a little more shy, maybe, I would say what I would do here is I would say, okay, first let's just like, without even thinking about the premise anymore, like the fun part, let's just like brainstorm what are all the types of things that happen in a lawyer drama. What, again, so nobody has to worry about
Yes,
trying to be funny at this point. It's just literally, what are all the things that you can think of from a lawyer drama? What
every
are
single
all of
trope.
the types of things that happen in a trailer for that type of thing? And then would step back and say, like, okay, now now plug this premise into that. What fun can we have with that? And I think that's a good thing to do in general when you feel a little bit stuck with an idea. It's like, if when you're trying to like make it funny right away, you're just kind of, your wheels are just kind of turning in the mud. Break it down into two pieces. First, think about what are the actual little footholds that you can get in the thing that will then, you can then make funny by running your premise through them. So anyway, really teachable sketch. Very excited about this one. And yeah, and again, also clearly this a fun kickoff to this episode, even though it didn't quite connect for me. All right, should we move on to the next one? Okay. Next one is, which one was it? Okay.
Two Janets.
The two Janets. So two music teacher Janets, um, who keep like making their students perform musicals based on their lives. Okay. This one I obviously makes me think about This Girl Is in Choir, right? Which is a very different sketch. It was written by Katie Simon and Michael Hartney, performed at the UCB. And it's a wonderful sketch where you also are experiencing a music/drama teacher living out their dreams, or their ambitions, sort of through their things that should be spotlighting their students, right? Okay, so that's sort of where the similarities end, because I think that this sketch, really fun, like the performances were very big. There were some fun specifics, but I think that this one just needed to make a little bit more of a decision of what it wanted the fun to be, in terms, like, what is the portrait it's adding up to about their lives? Is there something a little bit more specific we could do with it? How are the students getting involved in it? It felt like, I also feel like this was one of the rare ones where I just thought the reveal was like kind of bizarrely flat. Like, it was like, you aren't going to make us do musicals based on your lives, and then again, right? And then they're like, no, we're doing yes, we're doing a musical based on our lives. And they gave an example. And it just felt like it didn't really begin with a bang in the way that I think premise
It
like this
could
should
have
have.
gotten into it so much faster.
So much faster and so much bigger. And yeah, I don't know. I thought this one just felt like a little more. I don't know. I just felt like this one. I just wanted more like more specifics. I really like the two top heavy ladies, two busty ladies. Like they kind of circled back to that in a way that I found really fun. But I just think that there was something that needed to be a little bit more specific here.
Here, like, can I just like write the first page? It'll be so easy. Like, hey, Miss Janet and Miss Janet are they don't both need to be named Janet. I think that's an extra unusual thing. Hey teachers, did we finally get the rights to do Frozen? No, we're gonna do the show we wrote. You know, two drama teachers in Reading who just got divorced. Like, not again. All right, passing it out the script. Here's the first number. That's all it has to be.
Yeah, I think
Like,
that's basically exactly right.
I did enjoy the songs.
Yeah. Mhm.
The second one ended up being about like their trip together, right? Which
Mhm.
was like less about the specifics of their divorce. And then the third one kind of went on this tangent of like Jack Shep is their favorite and he needs the solo because he's gay, but they're not gonna say it.
Mhm.
Which felt like very different. And then they got to sing about two busty ladies in a classroom with shitty children. Okay, so they're all sort of different, but I was kind of fine with it because they were
Mhm.
all fun enough. But it would have just been so much better if they had been personal in some more specific way.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, you know, like if all of them were like, we talk about how much we dislike teaching and how disappointed we have to be here. Sounds kind of like a bummer, but like
Right.
that would be more specific, or like really getting into like too much detail about the divorce that also like involves people the kids are no, like that could be, but the more small you make it, the funnier it will
Yeah.
be. Although I did
Absolutely.
kind of like this one, so I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it was no, I agree. Like, I think that it was just to me, it felt like, it it was fun. I think that it just felt like there was something about the stage that just didn't feel, like, well, like, excavated to me or something, like, in terms of the way the students were being used, in terms of I don't know, I just felt like there was just a little bit more a few more turns of the screw that I think would have just, let it kind of, pop a bit more. Like, I also even wonder, like, is there possibly a way to set it up where like if even if they did want to have more musical beats, like is there a beat where it's like you and you like come up, here are the here are the scripts for you guys to read or something like that, right? If they're like can we is it okay for like if this is drama class, we really want to perform, can we do this instead of having you guys sing all the numbers and us?
Yes.
Oh, right, like to mix it up a little bit, and then of course they would like take over and start
And
performing
sing.
again.
Yes.
But, like, I think we just need to see more ways that and slightly more surprising ways where they kind of pop back to center stage and start going again. I think it's just something about the flow of the scene felt like a little off to me. I do think it was very it was very efficient. I think that when a in a way that's very opposite from the cold open as an example, like the efficiency of just them continuing to come back to sing like felt like a little redundant to me maybe, but it still felt straightforward. But I think that just because that was redundant, I would have liked to see the specifics be a little more specific
Yes.
basically. Yeah.
This is also not so much a writing note, but if you're directing, here's something to think about. The Sunburned Lawyers was two peas in a pod with Hannah and um Emma, and then this one is two peas in a pod with Hannah and Annabelle. And I have a hard time telling Annabelle and
Yes.
Emma apart when they're in wigs.
I had the same thing. I wrote down like, "Oh my gosh, it's the same pairing again." I was like, "Wait, no, no, different people, different people."
Yeah, and it just like I would also say that quite possibly neither of these needed to be two peas in a pod. They could have just been one
Mm,
person. Like I understand why
mm,
both of them had two people. It's because it's the host and the person whose idea the sketch is. But like you didn't really need two of them for either.
Yeah.
Uh and so that felt like a weird way to lead off the show.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think that I see why Sunburnt Lawyers could have just been the one. I do think that the 2 music teachers, I think that made sense as 2 because
They
it's like
both made sense as two, but you could also just be like, I'm the music teacher that writes the shows about myself. Like,
right.
I,
Right.
it's fine either way. I'm not like this was wrong because it was peas in a pod. It's just more like the fact that they both came right after each other drew attention to it in a way that I don't think you want to have your audience be experiencing a show.
Yes, totally. And I will say, I think that he also, then we'll get to this in the 3rd sketch as well. All 3 very, like, kind of plant your feet and, like, perform, characters for the host, which I think can get a little bit grating sometimes, but, like, it definitely was, like, big characters, like, boom, boom, boom of
Because
big
it's interesting
characters.
because the next one is so similar
Yeah,
in
yeah.
some ways.
Yeah. Should we just go on
Yeah, let's
and
do it.
talk about okay, great. So the next one was the speed awareness course where the teacher keeps doing these bizarre role plays to make trick the students into speeding in the hypothetical training that they're doing. Okay, yeah, what were your thoughts on this one?
Uh, I think that the I liked the spirit of her character, but I think maybe there's like too many things that are just slightly unusual with the way that it's set up for me to like be fully in on the scene. Like, is a speeding awareness class a thing? Maybe it is in the
I was
UK.
wondering if it's like a defensive driving class or like something that you do if you've yeah, you've gotten I
It felt like they were court ordered to be there,
yeah,
but would it
yeah.
just be about speeding? Like, it's fine. Again, it's fine, but it's not quite a clean setup,
Yeah.
right?
I have to say, I was like, I guess this is a thing that I don't know about. I was sort of like okay and quickly onboarded with that.
But then
The
the idea that you bring them up and it's like you're making up a role play where they have to choose to not speed and then you're imaginarily tricking them in to
yes.
speeding is just kind of a long walk.
I think to me the sketch would probably have been just as strong and would have had more room for fun if instead of her tricking them into panicking in the mode of the thing, if she was just sort of like making up these scenarios and they were sort of like voice of reasoning a little harder until she ultimately fails them. Like if I think that the part where it started feeling like a little bit make believey in a way that I was like, I'm not this is feels like very ungrounded was like whenever they started to panic.
Because would you do that? I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. I think you because like they were panicking in the world of in the make believe world that she was setting up for them, and they weren't panicking over the course of like, look, I don't want to fail my test. They were sort of like in the imagined scenario with her, and I think that that felt off. Whereas if yeah, I really do think that this could have just used a little bit more voice of reasoning, and I also think that the specifics were, I guess they were ultimately were adding up to the scenario where she has a well, okay, the first beat was her being like a horny lady, right? The second beat was childbirth, and the third beat was aliens that might affect the children, right? And it turned out that beats 2 and 3 sort of were pointing towards her life. I just it felt like kind of a walk, and it felt like this was a little bit something that we were trying to pay off, and we talk about in sketches, like, payoff isn't really the right way to think about it. I think I would have liked something that just reflected something more holistic about the character that the students could have sunk their teeth into a little bit more versus I think one of the students at one point was like, "This is mental," or something like that. I think that was one of the lines. And like often when you get to that point, it's like you've gone a little too broad and a little too far. Um, yeah.
I want to put a pin in the idea of someone being like, this is nuts, is like a good sign that things are too weird, because I totally agree with you. And yet, scream!
I am so eager to hear your thoughts about Scrimsh.
But yeah, it like, I think this is an example of like, there's a lot of coherent things in this scene and a lot of like funny things in the beats. But if you have enough things that are just a little bit not quite right, it adds up
Hmm.
to mushy sketch. And
Yeah.
this ended up being a mushy sketch.
Yes. I also, sorry, this is so not the most important
That's the
thing.
real point of view or idea. Like, if you're the writer of this, like, what are you trying to say? It's not.
Yeah. Because, like, I think that often it's like, I think with a character sketch like this, when a character is like making up scenarios like this, you want it to be revealing something fun and specific about that character or something that she's accidentally sort of revealing about herself. And I know it was again sort of like, wait, this is all autobiographical, but I don't think it felt they felt very disconnected from each other until the entrance at the end. And it just didn't feel like, oh, like it's really rare for that to be the reaction that your audience has, where they're like, oh, that's what this was all about. That really does not apply in sketch most of the time. So it didn't feel like a payoff. It just felt like sort of three kind of somewhat random beats. This is not at all the most important thing, but the Cyclops eye, was that the same prop that they used in that Cyclops sketch in SNL US a few weeks ago? I
Oh gosh, it might have been.
I think I was like, I think that's the same. I
Maybe
don't
there
know.
just aren't that many inexpensive eye options, even
Maybe I don't know.
in
I
the
was
whole
just like,
world.
I don't know. Anyway, I found that I was just like, huh, I'm kind of puzzled by it. Okay. Anything else about this one or should we move on?
No.
Okay. So this is okay. The next sketch, if you haven't seen it yet, um uh take a quick time out and watch the sketch because I don't want to spoil the reveal for you. Family realizes that the mother has been Daniel Day-Lewis preparing for a role for 18 years. I thought this was a fun sketch. My main thing was like there was no impression though. I I feel like Daniel Day-Lewis is actually like a pretty distinctive person with a pretty distinctive way of speaking, and like I I sort of like, do they just not do impressions? That was my main.
I
That
just
was.
don't have anything nice to say, so I'll
Oh
decline
no,
to say.
okay. But what did you think about the sketch as a whole, though? Like,
Okay. So it reminded me a lot of the sketch we handed out on the first day of UCB Sketch 101,
yeah,
which
yes,
is my whole life has been a
yes,
lie. Like, not only are my parents not my parents, but my girlfriend's not my girlfriend,
hmm,
so on and so forth. My dog's not my dog. Yeah, this felt a bit like that, where it's like everything I thought about my mom is Daniel Day-Lewis. I thought it was revealed in a fine way. I thought that the jokes were pretty funny. I agree that Larry Dean's impression was really bad, um, which I feel bad about saying because I think he's been struggling. Um, there are so many Daniel Day-Lewis is intense sketches
yeah,
that, as someone, I I don't want to ding them too hard for the sketch idea, because I think that I've just seen too many sketches, but like, I didn't find it to be that original of an idea. It was almost, to me, the because like Daniel Day-Lewis is something surprising, is something I've seen so many times, that to me the real game of it was almost like, in my head, Daniel Day-Lewis being disguised as something is just normal. That is the base reality. And
that might be our problem.
again, that's my problem. But what I did really like about this was George Fouracres being like, "Oh, you got me." Like,
Yeah,
that like very grounded, like, I am not gonna change out of my dad persona. It's like, "Oh honey, you sound just like her when you say that." Like, he's not
yeah,
mad, he's just dadding it. Like, that was the unusual thing to me. Like, he
yeah.
wasn't at all upset. He was just like, "Ha, Okay.
I think that there were some very good point
funny.
of view decisions in that sketch, right? Like,
Yeah.
I also really liked when he like pointed one of the kids being like, "Loving you has been my greatest challenge." Like, I thought that was. I think that there was some fun exploring in there, and I also really loved in line with ending the sketch with like, "Mom was so good in the Phantom Threat." I thought there were some specifics like that were really really fun. I liked this one, I have to say, even though
I have no problems with this one. It was executed well enough, minus the impression.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I wouldn't even, in a way, I don't know if this is better or worse, but I almost wouldn't even say it was a bad impression. I just think it was not one. Like, I just think there was not, like, I genuinely don't think that there was like, it didn't feel like there was an attempted impression that was going awry. It just felt like it was just kind of a choice not to do an impression. But I don't know. It was very surprising to me because I do think that ideally that's, for someone, especially who's as specific as Daniel Day-Lewis is, you kind of want to actually do something like that for the sketch. So anyway, but I think that impressions, aside from George Fouracres, I feel like we have not seen many successful impressions or many
Emma
impressions.
has done some good ones. Fergie.
Oh, yes. Yeah, but anyway, they haven't had the most impression heavy season, I guess. Okay, should we move on? Oh, we're at Weekend Update. Okay, so the shy reformer wasn't like, I wouldn't say it's even wasn't really fully a desk bit. I would say that was sort of just like a little character joke. It's
a nice active joke. I was
exactly.
like, that's fun variety. I like that.
Exactly. I think that's right. I don't think the goal was to make it like a whole thing. So I wrote it down because I thought it was going to be a thing, and I was like, oh, just a fun joke. Okay. Okay, let's talk about the dating correspondent, Scrimsh.
Scrimsh.
Okay, I would love to just hear your thoughts about this.
Okay. I have to say, like, I thought this is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's not well written at all. Like, it's not good. It's not like, I can tell you what's wrong with it, but it was so funny to me. This really got me laughing. I don't know why. I think the idea of him just being like, hey, I'm a weird European man. They left here on a school trip, and here's my tips for cheap dates.
That is a very fun setup. I will say this is something that I like kind of only when you reference Scrimsh at the beginning of this show was I like, oh my gosh, this is one of those weird situations where this completely went one ear and out the other for me. And like to the point where I like currently feel embarrassed because I like literally have nothing to say about this one. It just cleanly went through, did not land on my brain even a little bit.
He sang a song about how he wants to guess your BMI. He doesn't care if it's low or if it's high. He just likes to guess your BMI. Like, I think Jack Shep is funny, and he made this funny, and it's not well written. Like, it doesn't. At the end, Anya is like, "What's happening?" That also made me laugh. Man, it just was so. I was surprised by all of it because none of it made any sense. But it has no game, right? Like, it's like
right. This is like classic, like a weird guy.
It's weird guy. Yeah, it's too many weird things. Like, if they were gonna do this again, I wouldn't even know how you would repeat it because it's like it wouldn't be as funny the next time, right? Because he's just gonna say like random things in song, and that's not really tight enough. Like, if it was really going to be tight, it would have to be like he had some specific idea about how to save on like, even if it was just like you have to sing songs to distract the people you're dating from how you have no money and are a street orphan, or if like the idea was like, oh, if you don't ever have any money to begin with because your life is so sad, then like your dates don't have to think about how there's nothing to pay for. Like, there could have easily been a tighter idea, but Scrimp just everything about it was funny to me. So sometimes it's like, I don't know, there are no rules.
I think I have to watch it. Honestly, I have to watch it again. It is rare for me to have this level of like, I just retained absolutely
and I'm like, it's my favorite thing from all year.
Yeah, I'll read you my notes though. I'll read you the notes I took because again, I remember. Okay, the notes I took were a little unclear on character, dating advice mixed with weird story about being left behind on European school trip. That's my notes are purely like factual, no interpretation. If a student were to get those notes from me, they would be right to be upset because it's like you literally just said what I said. So what are your thoughts on it? So I will have to revisit this one at another time. I don't know what happened to my brain for that.
It tickled me.
No, sometimes it happens, and sometimes it happens.
I think it's entirely performance based. Like you can also really, I watched it a couple times because I liked it so much. You can see Jack Shep kind of like waiting for people to get on board with it. Like he's doing it very carefully. So
Yeah.
it just really felt like this shouldn't be so funny, but he's very good.
Okay, I'm
Very
gonna
good.
rewatch it, and it will truly be like I'm watching for the first time again for reasons that I do not blame the show for. I think my brain just like went for a couple of minutes and then came back online. All right.
The David Attenborough Rhino thing, though, there's a lot that's juicy.
I have to say it did make me laugh. That one made me laugh.
I think the commitment was perfect,
Yes.
and it really worked.
That one really brought me back. I really enjoyed the I thought that it got to this. I mean, obviously the fun it wanted to be was like this wrestling match between David Attenborough and the Rhino, and I was so impressed both with how it quickly got there and then the way it just became the wrestling match between David Attenborough and the Rhino. And the stage picture was so good too. Like the stunts, the like falling through the tape, like that was just that was great and delightful to watch. And I was very impressed with this as like a pretty expansive desk bit that like turned into something quite juicy. I really enjoyed this.
People were really offended online, which is interesting.
Wait, really? Like they didn't want to see David Attenborough get beat up?
They thought it was offensive on his birthday. I was like, I bet David Attenborough loves this.
Yeah. He probably wants to fight some of the animals sometimes.
I think this is the kind of thing that like SNL UK can get away with in its first season because you can never like turn something into a wrestling match again, right? Or like or its cage match. It did remind me of really good cage match bits. In New York, there was a show called Cage Match where it was improv and then there was like comedy wrestling in the middle. So comedy wrestling is a thing. But the idea of David Attenborough comedy wrestling because that animal didn't want to be filmed. It like that's a really, if you're gonna do comedy wrestling, that's got to be one of the top reasons to do it. So it was just really earned, really committed, great stuff.
Yeah, really, really fun, really physical. I liked that a lot. My brain came back for that one.
I thought Hamad and George Foraker's were like really good in this too.
Really, really good. It was really, really wonderful. Yeah, that was great. Should we move on to the next? We have two more sketches.
I think Foot Locker is like a classic sketch 201 sketch that someone brings in where you're like, oh, it's two things, pick one.
Yeah.
Foot Locker Phantom.
Foot Locker
It could have been is it your ex used to date Phantom, or is it Phantom of the Opera with shoe specifics? It's can't be both. I think it should have been the first one. Music of the Nike is not, it's just a pun.
Yeah. I also think it was very clear from the stage picture that like, oh, the daughter's going to turn around. She's going to have that little mask thing too. Like, it was like, as soon as you saw her, I was like, oh, I know what this will be. They actually, yeah. Anyway, I feel like they could have probably just had her off stage and it wouldn't have set it up as clearly. But yeah, this one felt, I agreed, over a little overcomplicated. Felt a little more like, yeah, like kind of a little more punny and a little less focused. On kind of the fun of it, I agree. It was sort of just a little muddy, just kind of like two separate things. And this is a great example of how you can have more fun specifics if you untangle them from each other. And like setting, if it's the ex, like maybe like a little like catch up. So how have you been since, it's good to see you again, I guess. Like that kind of thing. Or alternatively, again, sorry, you look really familiar to me. Do you know? Oh yeah. You've probably heard of me. No, don't worry. I've changed since the time when I was on the news, for for that whole thing. You know, like I think that it just was a little too knotted, I think, with these two things at once. Anything else for this one, or those are really my main takeaways from
It
this?
just had to be something more specific.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Shall we move on to the last sketch of the night? Okay, this was the song. Okay, the Two Glasses of Wine
I
song.
loved this.
It was fun. I liked this one too. I was like, I like that each verse was like the two glasses of wine is like the happy medium, and then three glasses of wine getting sloppy, and then like riding the wine. I feel like there are a lot of things where I'm like, this will be kind of like, this could be an instant classic, like a hit single, you know?
I really liked it. I was like, oh, I could imagine an entire sketch with specifics about how drinking 2 glasses of wine is like just right. So, and I was surprised when the chorus was 3 glasses of wine.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, they're gonna do all the levels. That's so fun.
Yeah.
Like that did, yeah, that did surprise me. The only
Yeah.
thing I wanted them to say like 4 glasses of wine at some point, or like so many glasses of, like, I just wanted it one
Yeah.
more time. They didn't bring it
Yeah.
back.
I I have to say, I think that even though I know there was that one exception, I think that there's some like really good musical stuff that's going on with
Yes.
SNL. Both SNLs. Like I think that, but with SNL UK, like when the songs are good, the lyrics are like very
Really
good.
good. My apologies to the fourth wall.
Great.
Oh my god, what a joke.
Really fun.
So
Really
good.
fun.
But yeah, the
I
music is really good for this one.
It's really interesting. I'm kind of curious to learn more about it and
But there
curious to
also been
see.
some of the worst ones.
That's true, yeah, but I think that, like, the ones when that they've been bad, it's like
The
it's just
English
like
Pub.
yeah. Oh, the English Pub I thought was kind of fun, though. That
Oh,
it was
sorry, the
like
good one. I
the
meant that as an example of a good one. That
oh,
was
yeah,
a
yeah,
really
yeah,
good
yeah,
one.
exactly, that was the lyrics were great for that, but, like, the country like, I feel like it's been, like, a genre just off
Yeah,
kind of
that's true.
thing. But for the most part, I feel like their songs have been pretty solid. So anyway, I don't know. It's cool to see. I'm interested to see how that keeps developing. But yeah, I would say like this episode again, like a lot of really good teachable moments. I think that the energy was so high, which is always nice to see. It again, like I think that from a writing standpoint, it's like not maybe the strongest, but I think it was the ways in which it was less strong were in part because they were going for such big characters. So at least it was kind of going off the rails in a way that seemed like they were all having fun. Which is and there's a lot to be said for that too. Yeah, anything else for you on this one or
Gosh, I really like feel so positively about this episode.
it's interesting.
I think it's because I think it's because in all of the song ones, even the Foot Locker one, the songs were performed really well and had jokes in and of their own bits, even if they didn't all fit together. And then the Daniel Day-Lewis sketch was good, and Sunburn Lawyers was fine. Like the only thing that really didn't work for me was the speed awareness sketch.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Mhm.
everything else I think was like pretty funny things.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
it's
yeah,
funny.
I really liked it.
It's really funny, yeah, for me, like, and just didn't this one didn't pop for me quite as much, but I do think that somebody just, like, having fun the entire time does go a long
Same.
way.
Yeah.
So it's really, like, that genuinely does go a very long way for this. Awesome, alright, so before we part ways, as always, anything you'd like to plug?
I am doing script coaching. I'm starting to get booked up though, y'all. So that's great.
Yay,
So maybe,
good.
if you need some script coaching in early January or January, June,
I was like, "Oh my
J-Lo.
gosh, Madalyn."
No, I'm not that booked up. Early June, I am here. You can check out my website, madalynbaldanzi.com, and reach out to me that way.
Yes, awesome. And my plugs are, as always, spread the word about this so more people can nerd about Sketch. And Madalyn and I are going to be doing a mailbag episode in the not so distant future. We've been getting very, very, very good, fun questions in. Madalyn, I think I'm debating whether I hide them from you until we actually do the
Oh,
episode or if I tell you ahead of time. I don't know. we can discuss ahead of time whether like that would be fun, or
Wow.
I don't know, or whether I'd share with them with you. But anyway, to be determined. We'll
So
talk
excited.
often about this. But basically, if you are interested, if you have questions, you can feel free to either put your question in one of the comments on our Substack on the Instagram page, or you can email us the question at learnaboutsketchcomedy@gmail.com. Again, learnaboutsketchcomedy@gmail.com. We love hearing your questions. Okay, I think that's everything. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Madalyn, this has been so much fun. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Marina.
And I'll see you real soon.
Bye.
All right, bye.